Today brings me back to the Battle of Bannockburn. King Robert the Bruce has successfully defended Milton Ford, the main medieval road of 1314 from Falkirk to St Ninians and onwards to Stirling Castle. In fact, it's become so congested that no other knights can get into the fight. Bruce had to protect his rear and protect himself against any outflanking moves. Some of the knights take to the south under Clifford and Beaumont in a bid to outflank Bruce. Others head westwards, upstream of the Bannockburn, and they find an opening between the two great bogs, Milton and Halbert's, defended by the king's brother, Edward Bruce, in an area known as the Bloody Fauld, a place steeped in history and stories of battle. Join me as we explore the part played by the king's brother, Edward Bruce, on the 23rd of June 1314, the first day of the Battle of Bannockburn. What you'll see here is the sign for Craigford Farm. This is the road from Falkirk to Stirling in 1750. Now, Milton Ford over that way. So to get to the ford and to get around this hill, you come down this road through the farm and over what would have been known as the Cat Craig. This is how the knights took their path to Milton Ford. So Milton Ford is lying down there. So the English army have come this way. This is the 1750 roadway from Falkirk to Stirling. So what it does, these are all new houses here, but it's come through this farm. And the roads come round here because of the hill, to skirt the hill. And it's gone up there, followed through the wood and down towards the ford. This would have been the path of the English knights. And from over there, high in the hill, they would have seen the Scots straggling under the trees. And the road leads here. Over this way, we have the Cat Craig. What's behind me is, this is all part of the old golf course. But where this path goes to here now, straight ahead is the narrow path down to Milton Ford, the bottleneck. So the knights have come round that hill, that's old 1750 road, through the farm, around this way, straight ahead, and then you have the narrow road going down to the ford, the only crossing point for a mile downstream or upstream. This is the medieval road of 1314, not the Roman road, which is about 300 yards to the left downstream, where they built a causeway over the bogs. So as many knights come down this medieval road here, the only crossing point, and they get across this ford. It's easy to see from this side. Now, the road curves because of the steepness of the hill. So it goes over there and it curves way up round there on the banking, on the escarpment. And Bruce's pikemen are waiting. It was said that the Scots were seen as if in flight. Those Scots were not in flight. These were scouts going back to Bruce, alerting him that the English were coming. Sir Henry de Bohun and a contingent of Welsh came down this way from the top field, down this road. He would have rode over this ford in a plume of spray. Got up there, over the escarpment, onto the high ground where he was met by the pikes, and he's tried to rear up his horse and get back here to safety. He doesn't even make it to the water. Bruce reaches him and catches him. Axe over the helmet, Bohun slumps dead. And it's not long before the rest of the knights arrive that this place becomes so congested that they're anxious to get in there. The Scots are able to hold the bottleneck. So some are going to go west on the high ground above the Bannockburn because this is too impassable. And we're going to take a look at the route of those knights and the engagement where the defence would have been by Edward Bruce. Behind me is Milton Ford. On the 23rd of June 1314, knights came this way. Bruce defended this. This is the medieval road of 1314. So he defended this road from Falkirk to St Ninians and on to Stirling Castle. Bruce's pikemen defended the high ground up there. Now, the great thing about this, it's a bottleneck. It's Scotland's Thermopylae. Bruce could allow, because only so many men, so many knights at a time can get over the river at the ford. So many can only get into the fight at a time. You can see how this rises, the steepness of this rises, and it says that the English were met roughly by the Scots. The Earl of Gloucester was unhorsed here at least once, but the area became so congested. This is where Bruce killed Henry de Bohun before Gloucester and Hereford arrived. But once they all arrived, this area here becomes so congested with knights anxious to get into the fight that the Scots pikemen held this way very successfully. What I'm interested in today, Bruce had to protect his rear. He had to protect any outflanking manoeuvres. Now, there is no crossing point from Milton Ford for a mile upstream or downstream. The banks, the escarpments are high and they are impassable to cavalry as well as foot soldiers. We know that Clifford and Beaumont's men went down to the Carse and couldn't get into the fight here. Other knights have gone west towards modern day Charters Hall. And there is a opening there between Halbert's and Milton Bogs, where the Sauchie burn meets the Bannockburn. At the confluence of the two, there's a crossing point, and there's a field there called the Bloody Fauld. Edward Bruce, the king's brother, as traditionally was his right, would be to protect the king's right hand side, that flank, and prevent any outflanking manoeuvres there. A fight happened at the Bloody Fauld by tradition. It makes sense that Bruce would protect that, and that's what we're going to look at today. Edward de Bruce's contribution to the first day of the battle. Even today, not many people actually come through this ground because you can see it's very overgrown, it's steep and it's treacherous there. But you can see even just with a few short steps how high above the Bannockburn we are. And as we move on to the high ground here, this would have been more wooded back then. And away over the far side of that field, this is how the English would have come down through that hill and over the ford. It's the most natural thing in the world to look for a way to outflank, to come in from another angle. Some knights would have known this ground well. Some of the veterans, they've been here before. They knew the area well from the siege of Stirling in 1304, any other reconnaissance missions they had, and indeed, after Falkirk, that 16 years earlier. But this is really impassable. We're now really quite high above the Bannockburn. It's inconceivable for any knights to come this way, so they have gone back up onto the high ground. That's quite a distance already after a couple of minutes walk. There's no way anyone on foot, and certainly on horseback, is getting down there, across there, and up through the other side. So this is us heading westwards, upstream of the Bannockburn. Now, any knights going westwards are going to be on the other side. I tried to get up and over onto our side, but I can't do that until I'm much further along. But this just shows you how heavily wooded and impassable it really is. Common rule of thumb: it's heavily wooded now. It's heavily wooded in the maps going back to 1750 and 1746. It's heavily wooded without any evidence to the contrary in 1314. So eventually this area, as the knights on the far side are riding westwards up there, they will come on the right hand side, on this side, to Milton and then Halbert's Bogs. The Battle of Bannockburn Heritage Centre is further up on the right hand side. But as you can see, it's a mile upstream and downstream before they can find any viable crossing point. There is a ford, and we'll look at the river as we go up in the way. I will get up onto the other side just further up to show you that. But there is a gap in the river above modern day Charters Hall Farm where the confluence of the Sauchie burn and the Bannockburn meet. But the English had to find a way through. Any outflanking manoeuvre, anxious to get into the fight, they have to do that. Clifford and Beaumont had headed meanwhile down towards the Carse along the way, and then up towards Thomas Randolph, and they had their skirmish at Newhouse. Edward Bruce had to defend the area between the two bogs. James Douglas is in the middle of the Dryfield, away over that way, in reserve, ready to lend help to Bruce, Edward Bruce, or Randolph if they needed it. But Bruce chose ground that is a natural fortress in itself, impenetrable. And that's the key when you're fighting large numbers. Choose such a place that you can keep as many of them out of the fight as possible. So we got a really good vista up here. Milton Ford, way down the far way where Bruce is busy. And because of the congestion at Milton Ford, straight along the line of trees there, along the Bannockburn, Milton Bog on the left. The English knights managed to get a crossing point somewhere just beyond those houses. Halbert's Bog to the right, in the defence for this part of the new park, just beyond you, a couple of fields down. What a morale booster for the Scots. Day one must have been. Minimal casualties and 3 separate wins. No matter how small, wins, high morale is everything. Nice steep slopes to defend between the two bogs here as well. And straight over there, that's the Bloody Fauld, the Bloody Fauld. I love this view just right here, because what you're about to come upon is the king himself. There he is, just coming out of the undergrowth there, surveying the positions in day one of the battle. It's a marvellous statue, this, of Robert Bruce. In fact, it's my favourite. Pilkington Jackson made the statue, and it's just a phenomenal piece. That's the position of the king, looking south towards Milton Ford, about a mile down that way, defending the entry to the new park. So there's this line of trees is the line of the Bannockburn, and that's flowing all the way down there towards Milton Ford, where Robert the Bruce is defending the entry to the new park. Directly in front here, Milton Bog. You can see the steep depression here as the bog goes uphill. There's the flag to the visitor centre. We don't really appreciate what a bog is in modern day because of all the drainage and how few they are now, but back then this would have been absolutely treacherous. In my recent film about Glen Trool, I did sink into the upper thigh just 2 or 3 feet into a bog. For any animal, they would flounder heavily in a bog area and they would likely die of exhaustion. To think of a knight in light or heavy armour, it was absolutely perilous for them and danger to life if they got caught in a bog. So we have Milton Bog here. We have the road between Milton and Halbert's Bog over that way, which most likely Edward Bruce had to defend. I'm just looking at some of the hares there playing in amongst the cattle. If this was back in 1314 and you had cattle anywhere near here, this bog would all have been fenced off, certainly. But we are in the new park. This is part of the new park, and Milton Bog would have had a lot of bird life around it just with the water that it attracts. The Bloody Fauld is just directly over through the trees here. And onto this other side. So here is your bog-like area of what would have been Halbert's Bog back in the day. And this looks over to the Bloody Fauld, which is between both the bogs. And again, we're just down from the Borestone. So there you can see, I'm getting into the undergrowth here, the things I do, but you can see the Bannockburn running down here, and this is quite steep. This is actually too steep for horses to come down over and up the other side, certainly in number, one or two, but I suspect that maybe in twos and threes some got crossing points from here and further up, maybe a few to my right, to the east, and they've gone up over the other side towards the Bloody Fauld. So as you can see, even though the Bannockburn is shallow here in parts, the escarpments are quite steep. Defending any area against larger numbers, or if you want to keep that fight in a small basis, it's essential that you have a bottleneck. But when you consider the size of the Dryfield, the numbers in the English army, the numbers in the Scottish army, it's essential, equally essential, that they protect their rear. Interestingly enough, there's no mention at all of Edward Bruce on day 2 of the battle. One supposition is that he was wounded here and that his schiltrum was taken on and under the wing of his brother, the King, Robert. So this is the Sauchie burn, which has the confluence with the Bannockburn just slightly along, but you can see the depths, really short escarpments here, very easily crossed by the young knights. And this is the confluence of the Sauchie burn meeting the Bannockburn. And you can see just how level this crossing is. It's not perilous to light cavalry or heavy cavalry. And they would have just broke the branches to their own purpose to find a way through here, up onto the other side, and towards the Bloody Fauld between the two bogs, Halbert's and Milton, that was being protected by Edward Bruce. Easily crossable, easily forded. So here we have a gap in the trees, which it would have been back then, and this is us coming down to the Bannockburn. The Sauchie burn, where it meets the Bannockburn, just along there, 50 metres or so. Look how shallow the Bannockburn is here, and look how fordable that is beyond. The English have found a way here at the lowest point of the Bannockburn. They've gone up ahead where Edward Bruce and his division has been waiting, and again where some harsh fighting likely took place, and the English received a bloody nose up there as well, and they've had to come back and journey a mile down the Bannockburn, back the way they came towards Milton Ford and down towards the Carse of Balquidderrock. But this is where the Bannockburn meets the Sauchie burn, the only crossing point really between Milton Ford and here. So this is a field known as the Bloody Fauld. When I was here a couple of weeks ago, this grass was almost waist high. It was a very wet day, which it has been this morning, and I was quite soaked. But this is the Bloody Fauld. Straight ahead of you is the National Trust flag at the Bore Centre. Halbert's Bog, over this way. Over the other side of these houses at Charters Hall Village, just on the other side, lies Milton Bog. And where we've just been, by kind permission of the farmer, who let me wander away onto his ground and down the back. At Charters Hall Farm, over there, is the confluence of the two burns where the English crossed. The Bannockburn runs right along there. They would have come over this way, this side, and this is the Bloody Fauld, the Bloody Field. If there was a fight here, which it's highly likely it was, this is where some of those young knights were killed. This is where the Scots held the day. This is where they were denied access to the Dryfield. Way behind the Borestone there, you can see the Wallace Monument away in the background. Douglas is away over that way. Robert Bruce is fighting down there. Thomas Randolph is over the dip of the hill up here towards St Ninians, between there and Newhouse, fighting with Clifford and Beaumont. And the brother of King Robert, Edward Bruce, traditionally on the right wing of the king, defending the only other access to the Dryfield, which had to be defended at all costs, watching his brother's back. This is where he repelled them. Right here. It's very likely that the battle with Bruce at Milton Ford in the English against Gloucester and Hereford, and the battle with Edward Bruce here with some of the knights. The fight with Bruce was still going on while Edward was engaged here in action. Randolph's fight would come a little bit later because of Clifford and Beaumont's journey down towards the Carse and along the way, and then riding high up the escarpment towards Newhouse. The Bloody Fauld. Now as we come on to the higher ground, you get a better idea. Where you can see the flag of St Andrews there, and the cattle beyond is Milton Bog. Halbert's Bog, down here. This bit of ground here and up the escarpment had to be defended. It had to be defended. Coxet Hill, or Cockshot Hill, and Gillies Hill, over there. The castle just out of scene. I often wonder as I walk this ground what it must have been like. They must have watched the English come along the Bannockburn, come along, knowing that somehow they would find a crossing point. The commandments given out, the orders received, getting the men to keep it together, holding their emotions, remembering the plan. And then all of a sudden, as the English come up and beyond, how many there was here, it's very hard to say. But they had to try and ride westwards and get across. They had to. And this has got its name from somewhere. What that fight was like. After all that planning, after all the work done down in the Torwood, the councils of war, finally the English were here. Finally, it was time. No mistakes. Each man had to play his part. Douglas on hand to help anyone. Bruce engaging first. Says the English were met roughly by the Scots. And then coming here, failing to get across here. And then Randolph having a very difficult time on that day one, where he had to split his force. And he had to run at breakneck speed to try and halt the English, which he managed to do. Some went on to the castle, but they tried to have their sport with him, and they all failed. And when day one was over, they would count their cost. They would regroup. They would have a council of war that night, before planning, in the hours to come, how they would take on the full might of the English army on the 24th of June, 1314. Folks, it's always a pleasure coming back here to Bannockburn. I came here when I was 12 years old on a school trip, and I was hooked. I got the bug, and I had my first Robert the Bruce Ladybird book. And I don't know how many times I've read it. I still read it. I still look at those pictures that captivated me when I was young. But I keep coming here. I keep coming here. And when I met William Scott, he opened my eyes to the battle. He really did. And it became a lifelong project, which it is. And I'll continue to do it. And I'll continue to bring you content as long as I'm alive and healthy. Thank you for supporting me. Thank you for following me. It really means a lot. If you like this video, or you like any video, please subscribe, share, comment. I would love to hear from you. Help the channel grow. But most importantly, what that does is it helps create awareness, great awareness, and it helps preserve the history for the future generations to come. Thank you, folks.